Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. With about 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining until the start of the game. Started counting down. 4:17, 4:16, 4:15, 4:14, 4:13, 4:12, 4:11, 4:10, 4:09, 4:08, 4:07, 4:06, Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Convocation Center as we begin the PSAC playoffs, round number 1, the 4 versus the 5 seed, as your California Vulcans take on the Seton Hill Griffins. My name is Jonathan Sabe. Alongside me here today, it's my great buddy Nate Kurtz. Nate, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm excited. I've never seen PSAC Division II playoff basketball, and as you see here, we got the bracket up. California's going to be playing Seton, and today you're also going to have ESU playing Shepherd, UPJ playing Slip, Millersville playing Lock Haven. And then this one day we'll have the continuation of the bracket, and I'm excited. I can't wait for this playoff basketball to get underway.
Absolutely. This entire season has led to this point, and it's a matchup that we've seen twice already this season, California versus Seton Hill. And both times the games have favored the Vulcans as they were able to get the win in both.
Yeah, I mean, both contests were extremely tight. As if you go back to that away game, more or less the Vulcans just pulled away in the end of the first half and rode that momentum to the end. And even in the most recent home matchup, it was a very tight contest going into the middle of the second, but Vulcans came out with enough energy in the second part of that second half, and were just able to pull away with that win. As this Vulcans team has a good record against them, going 7 wins in the past contest these two teams have had.
We can take a look at the last games that either of these two teams played. That was on Saturday, as the Vulcans fell here in the Convocation Center at home against the number 3 seeded team in the country, the Crimson Hawks, only by 3 points, 80-77. And then the Griffins fell in a big loss to Mercyhurst in the final day, 84-62. Which, I mean, these two games, this matchup was already set in stone, but it was nice for both teams to finish the season out on a win, but neither of them were able to get it.
Yeah, and if you look at these 2023 results, as we mentioned, California was able to pull away in that first game, at Seton Hill at the middle of the half. And then at the end of that second half here, in the next matchup, they were able to pull away with an 80-68 win.
Yeah, like you said, California able to get the better of Seton Hill both times this season, and here at home is a little bit more comfortable. We do have a player to watch this week, and it's going to be Keith Powell III, having I'd like to say breakout season so far in his sophomore season, averaging 18.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists to go along with 31 steals. The sophomore out of Woodbine, New Jersey, doing it all here for California this season.
Yeah, we weren't able to put this. This was supposed to be the graphic that we played against IUP, but again, he's still the player to watch because he's been the player to watch all season long. He's been able to use his intelligent play and his know-it-all basketball, and his intelligent play has propelled him to the top of the PSAC and almost propelled him out of the shadows that he lived in last season.
We do have the starters for either team, starting off with the visiting Griffins going very quickly as we get into the game. Number 2, Drew Green. Number 3, Samuel Tabe. Number 4, Sean Dillon. Number 5, Jimmy Moon. And number 24, Ryan Meese. The starting 5 for the Griffins. And for your Vulcans, same 5 as always will be Jermaine Hall Jr., number 0. Number 1, Cam Polak. Number 5, KJ McClurg. Number 11, Keith Powell III. And number 15, DJ Slaughter. To get us underway, the Vulcans in white, the Griffins in red. Tip-off underway, won by the Griffins. The Griffins will be going from right to left to start this game. The Vulcans going from left to right. Green, under some pressure, loses the dribble, pass it off to Meese. At the top of the key. Takes the screen from Moon. Moon plays a handoff to Meese. 13 left on the shot clock here for the Griffins in the opening possession. Green in the corner, gets it off to Meese, 7 seconds left. The Griffins need to go quickly here. 4, Meese pulls up for 3. That one too strong. Hall secures the rebound. The first offensive possession of the Griffins results in nothing.
Yeah, what I'm hoping to see here from the Vulcans is they didn't really play up to themselves on that perimeter, which they've done all season, being 3rd in the PSAC in three-point percentage. You're hoping that maybe coming into this game they're able to capitalize on that,
And the Griffins play this zone defense, which is the only team that the Vulcans have played all season that plays this type of style of defense. Every other team plays man-to-man. And we've seen the Vulcans struggle with it. Right there, we saw Keith Pollock. His pass went a little bit too high for Cam Pollock out of bounds.
Yeah, I remember just at UPJ a few weeks ago, we talked to Mr. KJ McClurg's father. It was nice meeting him, knowing that he watches our broadcast. He mentioned that it was such a weird thing because nobody else in the PSAC does it.
Vulcans able to get a steal, and Slaughter able to finish on the other end. First basket of the game goes for California. Very quickly the other way, the Griffins try to answer, and they do exactly that. Green able to finish with a layup and one at the rim. So the Griffins now looking to take their first lead.
Yeah, Polak going up along with him and just gets too much of him, draws that foul, and is going to send them to the line, potentially take the early lead here.
Green on the season, 49.4% from the free throw line. Has a chance to give the Griffins their first lead of the afternoon. And he does exactly that. 3-2 your score, 18-49 and running here in the first half of play.
And there's one thing I gotta say, you gotta give a shout out to Coach Wilkins of the Seton Hill team, leading this team back in the PSAC playoffs. Regardless of how this turns out, you gotta admit that he's done a great year.
Mid-range jumper from Keith Palak, and he's able to knock it down. There's gonna be a whistle blown after the fact. Waiting to see what the official call is on. I believe the ball just almost nearly ended up in the locker room. So blew the whistle. They're going to clean up the court a little bit and get us back underway. I do want to point out something. You mentioned a huge shout out to Coach Wilkins in his first season, like you mentioned, able to completely turn this team around. Had to combine like 5 wins coming into this season in the last 2 years. That 3-point shot from Dylan is off the mark, and the Vulcans look to go the other way. Slaughter at the top of the key. Now Hall, deep 3 from Jermaine. Off the front of the rim, no good. Fight for the rebound, ends up in the hands of Tabe.
Yeah, and I was worried about this. During warm-ups, the Vulcans were taking a lot of those deep 3-pointers, and not many of them were going in. So you got to think maybe they used some of their energy up during the warm-ups, something you never like to see.
Tabe able to finish high off the glass after a nice post move inside against Palak. 5-4 lead here for the Griffins. 17:49 left to go here in the first half of play. Palak inside, turnaround jumper for him, gets it to go, plus the foul. Keith Palak has a chance at a 3-point play.
I mean, it's what I said. Keith Palak is such an intelligent player. He'll draw those fouls. He'll make those hard-to-make shots. And as you see, if we go back to the replay here, good pass and playmaking by DJ, and too much on the hands of Seton's going to give the Vulcans a shot at the line.
Palak, one of the best free throw shooters in the PSAC, 78.6%, but he misses off the front of the rim. Left that one a little bit too short. Caster curse, as I may say so myself. But the Vulcans still at the lead, 6-5. The score is 17:30 to go. Tabe gets off to Moon, hands it off to Green. Green with the deep 3 of his own. Nothing but net for Drew Green.
Yeah, and he's looking for an early heat check here. He wants to send a message to the Vulcans that the Griffins are not going to be playing around tonight.
6 quick points for him and 8 for the Griffins. They have an 8-6 lead. Palak in the corner. Pull up 3 for him. Can't get that one to go. Green able to secure the rebound. And the Griffins have numbers going the other way on the attack. Green, nice crossover move to get into the lane and able to finish at the rim.
And Green's starting to get hot real early here. And for the Vulcans, you need to start shutting him down specifically, because once you get one player hot, the entire team starts to get hot.
Pass by Hall off the mark. And another turnover for Cal. Green with the Euro step into the lane, but can't finish the layup. Will get fouled, and Drew Green, like you mentioned, a hot start for him. He's going to head to the line to shoot 2.
Yeah, and it's reminiscent of what we saw against IUP. They let that team get hot real early on, and it really bit them in the butt, and they weren't able to come back in a very close game. But you can't let the Seton Hill Griffins get this close this early.
Able to knock down the first free throw. Drew Green, the 6'5 senior guard out of Baltimore, Maryland, went to McDonough High School, playing in his first playoff game here against California. He's already securing himself a good start. Isn't able to make the second of the free throws, but 9 points already for him. And the Griffins with an 11-6 lead with 16:40 to go in the first half. Slaughter, Pollock fakes the pass. Slaughter now driving inside with the left-hand scoop. Can't get it to go, but the fight for the rebound is going to get poked out of play off of Jimmy Moon and the Griffins. So the Vulcans going to get the ball back.
That's a surprising miss from Slaughter. He's not much of a quantity player. He's very much a quality one. 50% from the field this season, as he's taken 100 shots, 110 specifically, and made 56 of them.
Slaughter on the inbound here for Cal. Able to get it in to Hall. Hall on the drive, nearly loses control of it. Mid-range jumper for him, gets it to go. That's Jermaine's first points of the game, and the PSAC West Athlete of the Week, able to get his first basket.
Yeah, and it's so well deserved, as you know, if you can't let Drew Green get hot, you also can't let Jermaine Hall Jr. get hot. He's such an athletic player, and he'll score from anywhere on the paint.
Three-pointer in the corner from James Rice, who just checked into the game for the Griffins, making himself an early impact. So able to knock down the 3. 6-point lead for the Griffins. 16 minutes to go here in the first half. Palak inside. Gets it out. Polak deep 3. And Polak responds, gets his first basket, cuts lead down to 3.
Yeah, and that's what the Vulcans needed. They needed some of that perimeter play to get them going back in this game.
Dylan with the nice moves, pass it off to Whitaker, who works inside Green. Nice step back move. Driving inside against Slaughter, pass it off to Rice. Dillon up top, 13 on the shot clock, 3 from him, and Sean Dillon responds with a 3 of his own.
And already this game's getting real close, and if you're Coach Senkum, you got to be frustrated because it's not even a matter of effort on the side of the Vulcans. It's just the Seton Hill team's played so hot this early.
15-13 left to go. The Vulcans down by 6. Palick looking for help, able to find Slaughter, now Polak in the corner. Palick inside looking to go to work against Moon. Pass it off to McClurg for 3. That one a little bit too short for KJ McClurg, and the Vulcans going quickly the other way. Dillon working his way into the paint. Off balance, can't get the layup to go, but the Vulcans get the rebound.
You have to think KJ may be playing a bit more reserved today as he's had an eye injury.
There's an offensive foul called as Hall had a full head of steam going towards the paint. He's going to knock over a Seton Hill player, pick up the charge, and that'll lead us to our first media timeout. 14:46 to go. 17-11 lead for the Griffins. We can take a look at the tail of the tape from both teams coming into today's game.
And I mean, just statistically, you'd think the Vulcans own this matchup as California's second in the PSAC in total offense, 81.0. Seton Hill following them, 77.5. Field goal percentage, you got the Vulcans coming in at a 45%, Seton at 46. Three-point percentage, the Vulcans have been improving that all year long, getting better and better, 36%. Seton's 32.9. Free throw percentage, first in the PSAC, the Vulcans lead at 78.3. Seton's 38.8. Rebounds per game, the Vulcans coming in at 34.9 to Seton's 36.2.
It's been a hot start so far as we can take a look at some replays. Opening basket of the game went to DJ Slaughter after that nice drive and the layup finish. And then once again we have Palick, the jab step and the pull-up mid-range jumper. That's something that the Vulcans are going to need a lot of. They're going to rely heavily on Keith Palick to get them out of this hole that they find themselves in already. And we see a nice basket, that time by Tabe, able to go up and under Keith Palick and finish on that layup. Then we had Slaughter passing inside to Palick, and the turnaround jump shot got it to go, plus the foul. And one more time, Drew Green, deep 3 from him. And like we talked about, already hot start, 9 points in the game for him. We see another basket from him as he's able to drive in past 3 Vulcan defenders and able to finish at the rim.
And I mean, if you remember, John, at the beginning of the year, we were talking about this defense being almost a liability, but their offense making up for it. And as they went on that long 6-game win streak, that defense really started to pick up, but just seeing in this game, maybe it's starting to lack, and some of those problems that bit them in the butt at the beginning of the year are starting to come back.
It's going to be on California to find an answer. As Donald Whitehead Jr. checks in for the first time today for California after that media timeout. Meese and Gillespie. Gillespie gets it off to Whitaker. Whitaker working his way inside. And an offensive foul called against the Griffins. So the Vulcans trading offensive fouls back and forth.
And the Vulcans are going to need to rely on some of that luck today. They already have 3 fouls on the afternoon, just 5 minutes into the game.
Second foul of the game for the Griffins. That'll be the first one for Whitaker. The Vulcans are going to get us underway once again. 14:30 and running here in the first half. Vulcans find themselves in a 6-point hole, 17-11. Whitehead gets it up to Palick. Quick bounce pass to Hall. McClurg working inside, pass off to Hall once again. Brings it back out to the 3-point line. Jermaine dribbling around, gets it off to Whitehead. Deep 3 for him. That one's short, but right there on the scene is Hall, but Hall can't finish. There's going to be a turnover as Gillespie, able to keep the ball in play, but stepped on the out-of-bounds line.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been shocked at all if Jermaine was able to get that one to stay in and put that up in the basket. He's already had 2 amazing lob attempts on the air. If you go back to that Mercyhurst home game, Slippery Rock home game, he literally put that guy on a poster. And I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have done it again.
It's a bit of a discussion between the referees about the game clock and specifically the play clock to make sure that the Vulcans don't have as much, or have plenty of enough time that they should be allowed to have. 20 seconds is on the shot clock now. Waiting to see what they're going to reset to. They're going to reset to 6 seconds, so definitely not something the Vulcans want to see, as they're going to need to get a shot off very quickly here. Whitehead on the inbound. Able to get into Palick. Jumper moving away, can't get it to go. Tabe now going the other way here for the Griffins, looking to extend their lead. Tabe going baseline, Palick able to defend it, pass inside. Gets stolen away, and the Vulcans have numbers going the other way. Polak, nice hesitation move, drives himself into the paint. Shot, gets it to go, plus the contact.
And going on steals this year, the Vulcans have not been very high in the PSAC ranking, at almost middle of the pack, and I believe this says 10th here. And you know, it's something that they've had to rely on KJ McClurg and Keith Pack a lot for this year.
Rice's 3 no good. The Vulcans going the other way once more. Lead down to 4. McClurg underneath, all alone. His shot attempt won't go in, but KJ is going to find himself with another trip to the free throw line once again.
And KJ is a player that's only improved as the year gone on. I remember when we traveled out to West Liberty to see him in his first game. He had a pretty good night for himself, scoring 25 points that game, and 22 points. And his free throw percentage was very low to begin the year. I remember we talked about it, and I think at the beginning of the year it was around 54 or 55 on average, but it's only gotten better and better now, averaging at around 77%.
McClurg able to knock down the first free throw and able to get his first point of the game. Makes the pair, cuts the lead down to 2 here for the Griffins. 17-15 the score. 13-18 left to go here in the first half. And like you said, as the season has gone on, KJ McClurg has gotten better not only from the free throw line, but in play in general. Gillespie inside looking to go to work against Hall. Left the layup attempt short, and Tabe able to get the offensive board for the Griffins and are looking to reset. Whitaker working his way inside, posting up against McClurg. Gets off to Tabe, deep 3 from Tabe. That left that one short. McClurg gets the rebound. And now Whitehead for the Vulcans. Slows up, able to get it to Hall. Hall, nice pass inside to Palick. And Palick going to get fouled, and Keith's going to head his way back to the line.
Yeah, Keith already going to take some hits early on in this game. He had himself a nice outing against IUP, scoring 19 points, as you saw there, and that player to watch earlier. And I think really the player to watch all season has been Keith, as he's been the most consistent. And even though he might have not had those averages of 30 points like you see in some Division I and NBA type of players, he does all the gritty things that you want from your power forward center.
And like you said, not only has he been arguably the player to watch here for Cal, but he's been one of the players to watch in the PSAC in general. He's been phenomenal this season. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I like to say this is a breakout season for Keith Palick, because he able to knock down the first free throw and the second. And just like that, the game's tied 17-all, 12:40 to go in the first half. Trio of substitutions for the Griffins made their way onto the court, one including Sean Dillon, who's on the ball now. Green, pass it off to Joyner. Joyner now to Dillon. Dillon pump fake, works his way inside, tries to pass it off to Tabe. But it looks like the ball went out of play, but they're going to call a kick ball violation against the Vulcans, and the Griffins going to catch a bit of a break.
I'm just chuckling at Coach Sankin. He never fails to give you a quick chuckle, just at his reactions. And even though he may not use the most appropriate language for a broadcast, it's always entertaining.
The Vulcans able to get the ball right back as Palick steals away the inbound pass. Polak worked himself into a jam and lost the ball himself as Joyner able to strip that one away from him. Dillon now on the other end. You can hear Coach Sankum not too happy as Dillon works his way inside and able to finish over Whitehead.
And Cam Polak, you saw, he just tried to hold the ball in the corner there, wait for the rest of the team to come instead of trying to go for a transition bucket. Just loses it, and it's going to give the Griffins the lead back again, 19-17, 11:53.
Whitehead looking for an option. Gets it to Palick in the post. Palick, nice pass to find Polak in the corner for 3, and Cam knocks it down once again. Just like that, the Vulcans have a lead, 20-19.
I mean, I've been saying it all year. Cam Polak's been the shooter for this team, averaging 44% and 37% from the line, 83 from free throw.
Joyner on the far side, guarded by Polak. Working, able to pass it out to Green. Green calling Tabe to get out of the way, wants to work one-on-one against Whitehead. Green able to get it to Tabe. Tabe went baseline, blew right by Palick and able to finish at the rim.
Yeah, Donald Whitehead Jr. is going to be another X-Factor player to watch here tonight. Obviously, the story about him being 5'10", 155, not the biggest player that you'll have here tonight, but it's his motor and his energy that always define him.
Hall with a three-point shot, no good. Moon pulls in the rebound. And Dillon going the other way, working his way inside. Nice crossover moves from Sean Dillon, showing off the bag a little bit. The three-point shot needs a little bit of work there, as that one left a little bit too short. Polak gets it off to Hall. Hall, nice step back. Able to pass it off to Palick, who's able to knock down the mid-range jumper, and the Vulcans reclaim the lead.
Yeah, and again, Keith Palick already showing himself out tonight. That's 6 points on the night for him. Or sorry, excuse me, 8 points on the night for him. And something you need to watch out for is his foul trouble for Seton.
Travel called. That time going to go against Tabe. And that'll send us to another media timeout. 10:28 to go. The Vulcans, the 22-21 lead. While we have a second, we can take a look at just about anything. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we can look at replays. We got some graphics to look at as well. Waiting to see what our director, Mr. Tom Caton, has in store for us. What he has in store for us is the team leaders here for Cal.
All right, yeah, points per game, as we mentioned. Keith Falk, the third, third in the PSAC at 18 points per game. Jermaine Hall Jr. coming from that Achilles injury 2 years ago, playing amazing this year, 7 rebounds per game. Donald Whitehead Jr. coming in at the winter break, done amazing so far. Shout out to the Whitehead family, 79 assists on the year. And KJ McClurg, the freshman, 41 steals, 35 minutes per game. And you know, I remember that UPJ game. Do you want to know how many minutes he played, Johnny?
40.
He played the entire game, which I've never seen that before, but he deserves it. He's an amazing player. KJ cannot miss. As you look at the leaders from Seton, very two-sided here as Tabe leads it, 16.3 for points, 8.0 for rebounds. Dylan coming in with everything else, 90 assists, 37 steals, and 28.5 minutes per game.
And going back to that comment that you said that McClurg played all 40 minutes in that game against UPJ, which is kind of a rarity, especially in men's basketball, where it's not something that we're unused to seeing, especially women's basketball, as a lot of the players on the Vulcans women's team averaging 35, 36, 37 minutes a game, and most of the time they're playing all 40, as we could take a look at some highlights so far. And once again, Dylan able to work his way inside, able to finish past Whitehead. A great find from Palick, and a good knockdown in the corner from Polak. We are back underway here in the Convocation Center. 10:23 to go in the first half of play. The Vulcans up by 1. Slaughter inside to Palick. Palick ran into the brick wall. And as Jimmy Moon brings it back out to the three-point line. Palick looking to drive inside. It's going to get called for the travel, so that shot will not count. It's going to be another turnover going to the Vulcans.
And Keith Palick this year, duality of man, 76 assists to 73 turnovers. He handles the ball a lot and is on the court so much that you're just going to see that develop and develop the more he plays.
Dylan now here for the Griffins. Gets the switch on to Palick. Moon working inside. Nice dump off to Joyner. Joyner left all alone underneath the basket.
Yeah, and a beautiful play there run by Seton Hill as they're going to be taking this lead again, and what has become a back-and-forth battle between these two teams.
Looking very similar to the first time these two teams played this season, where it's back and forth for pretty much the entirety of the game, but the Vulcans able to pull away at the very end as McClurg from 3, off the mark, no good. Tabe pulls in the board, and the Griffins looking to extend their lead, 23-22, 9:22 left to go in the first half. Tabe backing down, Hall inside, floater attempt no good. Whitehead, quick pass to Palick, transition 3 off the mark. Moon pulls in the rebound and a foul off the ball. It's KJ McClurg, left some contact in there for Jimmy Moon.
Yeah, KJ, you know, he's been such a part of his skill set has been his rebounding, just aside from his scoring and playmaking and his defense. He's been such a good all-around player, but sometimes that can come to be a disadvantage for you.
Both teams sitting at 4 fouls already in this game. Tabe going to head to the bench. Meese going to come back in here for the Griffins as they have the 1-point lead. 9 minutes left to go. 23-22 your score. Turnaround jump shot from Whitaker. Able to get that in. 25-22. Now the Griffins up by 3.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned that perimeter play early on to start the game, but I think the Vulcans now need to just keep taking advantage of crashing the paint and drawing those fouls because it got them back in this game, and I certainly think it could help them win it too.
Hall driving. Pull-up jump shot for him. That shot no good, and the Vulcans offense just been struggling over the last couple of possessions, looking for that spark, looking to just find that one basket. Vulcans defense needs to get a stop here as Green drives inside. His shot attempt no good. The Vulcans can go quickly here in transition, but Whitehead holding things up, waiting for all the Vulcans to get involved. Turnaround jump shot for Palick, gets that one to go, cuts lead down to 1.
Yeah, and I mean, we were mentioning earlier about Green, you can't let him get hot, and I know I mentioned Jermaine, but the guy who's been getting hot all game, and we haven't even mentioned it, Keith Palick, already up to 10 points on the night.
Leading all scorers in this game is Meese. Gets himself into a jam, pass it out to Green. Now Joyner driving inside. Gets that one swatted away from Hall, who came over and helped on the defensive end. But the Vulcans' efforts bear nothing as Hall stepped on the out-of-bounds line after the outlet pass. It's going to be a turnover. That's going to lead us into immediate timeout. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on CUTV, CUTV Sports 1, and the PSAC Network.
Hi everybody, welcome into a brand new show here on CUTV. I'm your host Tom Caton, and you are all tuning into the very first official episode of Caton's Corner. Bye everybody. Bye everybody. Bye everybody.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Convocation Center for this back and forth game where the Griffins have a 1-point lead, 25-24, with 7:44 remaining in the first half of play. We have a second. We can take a look at the PSAC tournament once more, the bracket. Obviously, the winner of today's game between California and Seton has a tough road ahead of them as they will face the #1 seeded IUP Crimson Hawks on Wednesday if whoever is able to win today.
And honestly, Johnny, I think the hardest and most interesting matchup is going to be who wins between that UPJ slip game, because Hearst looked a bit human because losing against this Vulcans team, and you might think whoever wins that slip UPJ game may give them a fight. And something I want to mention, that you mentioned that women's team earlier, the Cal women's team. Fun fact, Hallie Harrington leads all Division II women's basketball players in minutes played per game.
Yeah, 38.5 points, or 38.5 minutes per game. It's quite a lot. It's that mid-range shot attempt, no good from the Griffins, and the Vulcans able to secure the rebound and look to take the lead here. 7:25 left to go in the first half. Tip pass from Polak goes straight into the arms of Green. Green now in transition, able to find Whitaker, and Whitaker able to finish at the rim and extends the Griffins lead to 3.
And it's these defensive mistakes that keep biting the Vulcans back and back and back again, and they need to tighten up on defense and focus on that before they get themselves outmatched.
Polak able to get it to Whitehead. This zone defense has forced a deep 3 from Polak. McClurg able to secure the offensive rebound after the miss. The Vulcans reset. Palak trying to find Whitehead in the corner, but good defense by Green pokes that one out of play.
Yeah, and this zone defense, which the Vulcans in these past 2 matchups were easily able to break, it's giving them trouble right now, and they're absolutely getting hammered on the offensive end of the ball right now.
12 left on the shot clock for the Vulcans here, looking to get back into the game. Palak inside, turnaround jumper from him. Going to get fouled on his way up, that time by Gillespie. So Keith Palak find his way back to the free throw line once again.
Yeah, and head coach Wilkins, he's not happy about that call at all. As you saw him storming over to the right side of the bench just so he can give a talk to the referee. And quite on the opposite spectrum, Coach Sankum, nice and quiet, sitting down on the bench, which is a very stark contrast is what we usually see from him, almost red every single night.
Yeah, it's a very rare sight to see as Palak able to knock down the first free throw. 2-point game now, 25-27. Jimmy Moon checking back into the game here for the Griffins. So you can look at your screen, you can see the illustrious hair of Mr. Keith Palak, unmoving.
You know, we brought this up in the Edinburgh game, and I know our producer Gary Smith probably won't be happy about it, but I'm jealous. Ever since I went bald, I can't form that luscious hairline that Keith has, and I can't get it to stay. As Caden Hanna, the Division III transfer, has made himself the staple 7th man here in this lineup, checks into the game.
Palak, 12 points, cuts the lead down to 1 for the Griffins, 27-26. Vulcans looking to get a stop here on the defensive side. Green able to find Whitaker inside, can't get the shot to go, and a fight for the rebound. It's going to be a foul called, staying on the floor. As like you just mentioned, Caden Hanna comes into the game, going to pick up a quick foul.
Yeah, that's already something you don't want to see from him, as he usually picks up those minutes for Keith Palak or Jermaine Hall Jr. when they get in foul trouble, and you don't want to see him get out early, just as a precautionary measure for Jermaine and Keith.
Whitaker looking to go to work against Palick, and another quick foul, so 2 fouls back to back. This one going to go against Palick, and that's going to be the 6th foul of the half here for the Griffins. 1 away from entering that bonus.
And for the Vulcans, you cannot have that because there's only 6 minutes left, and 6 minutes in basketball is an eternity.
Moon receives the inbound pass. Rice gets it off to Tabe. Tabe looking to drive against Palick. Palick playing that post defense. Good moves from Samuel Tabe.
I mean, that's an absolutely deserved bucket, and you're going back down to the fundamentals of basketball, working that inner paint plan. Palick's not the strongest of defenders, but he's usually a smart one. He'll usually knock that ball out before you're able to get anything.
The turnaround jumper from this time from Palick off the mark. 3-point game, 5:45 to go. Whitaker now looking to post up against McClurg. And Whitaker flexing in front of KJ McClurg, calling him too small as he's able to finish.
And KJ has that high defensive motor and has led the team with steals this season, but just gets backed down. And now Seton's moved on to breaking them in the paint, and the Vulcans have found no answer to it.
Whitehead receives the pass from Palick. A 3-point shot from him, no good. And a fight for the rebound, going to get poked out of play after a diving effort from Tabe trying to save it. The Vulcans will get the ball back. Substitution from either team. Dillon comes in for the Griffins. Hall comes back in for the Vulcans. The Vulcans on the offensive end just have been not on the mark, as they just have not been able to find their groove quite yet.
No, that zone has absolutely gotten a hold of them. They have been able to find nothing. They're taking forced shots, and even from the mid-range, they're just not making those open ones. As Donald Whitehead Jr., the Don, as we've given him that moniker, silky smooth mid-range.
Gets his first basket of the game. Cuts lead down to 3 as Dillon falls to the floor, but able to keep his dribble alive, so no travel called. Looking like the professor out there, just doing all those street ball moves as Whitaker works his way inside, and a charge taken. And who else but KJ McClurg taking the brunt of that force, gets the charge called against him, and gets the Vulcans the ball back.
Yeah, and some of the Seton Hill faithful coming out from Phillipsburg obviously weren't too happy with that call. Is not much of a long trip for them, so there's a decent amount of them here tonight. We got a decent size and decent crowd here for the Combo Center. Not as big as we saw for senior night against IUP in that rivalry game, but still a decently sized packed crowd.
Yeah, that drive from Greensburg is definitely a favorable one for us, especially because it's the shortest drive that we have all year. Palick inside. Nearly gets that one stolen away, now looking to go against Moon. Palick behind the back pass to Polak, who's able to finish the layup.
Yeah, the Iceman, ice cold Keith Palick again. He's having himself a night. He was our player to watch for a reason, and he's shown out here against the Griffins.
Dillon, deep 3, decides not to take it. Now trying to work his way inside. Great defense from the Don, forces the jump ball.
And you know what, Johnny? He may not have that size, which I mentioned, but it's something I did mention earlier, is that motor of his. He's such an energetic and high motor player on the defensive end where even though he may not have that length of a Keith Palick or a Caden Hanna, he has that energy and he'll have that drive to get in there.
I remember I mentioned in our UPJ game, even though for the most part he's always the shortest and the smallest player on the court, he doesn't play like it. He definitely plays up his size quite a bit as McClure gets into the lane. Floater attempt is good, and the Vulcans get the lead once again, 32-31, 4:05 to go here in the first half.
Yeah, it's been a game of runs so far, both these teams going back and forth, battling each other.
Moon passes it off to Rice, pump fake from Rice, now taking the screen. Pass it off to Dillon, 15 on the shot clock, decides to pull up for 3. That one's off the mark. Hall secures the rebound. The Vulcans slowing things down here. Hall in transition. Gets the ball poked away from Dillon out of play. And that'll take us to another immediate timeout.
Yeah, personally, I love seeing those plays. That's such like an anticlimactic for the way for a timeout to get called. I don't know.
Not every play in basketball can be a highlight play.
You know what Gary Smith said, our producer?
What did
he said
Gary
he
say?
just wanted to see Phil Alston dunk ball. Those words exactly. Yeah, I know Phil Alston isn't here anymore as he transferred up to Loyola Chicago, but I just want to see basketball player dunk ball.
Oh, I would love to.
Is that too much to ask for?
That is definitely more entertaining to talk about as you can take a look at some replays here from the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful pass on the side of Seton Hill coming in from Jimmy Moon. He's had a relatively good night here so far. No points here, but he's played just an all-around good defensive game and has just moved the ball around well as the Vulcans see the pass there from Whitehead up to Jermaine, down to Keith Powell, who's had himself a nice solid night from the mid-range there around the cherry stripe. Another play here. Green shooting the ball on over to Caleb Whitaker, finding himself a nice bucket in the paint over some contact there from Palick. And it's been a good night from both these teams. It's been some hard-hitting basketball. They've gone to the fundamentals. The Vulcans have had some trouble beating that zone, have they not?
And like you talked about, in the last game that these two teams played against each other, as we can take a look at some more replays, the three-point shot for California was on. And when it's on, it's very hard to stop, and that's why we saw such a big lead at the end of the game. Look at that beautiful behind-the-back pass from Palick and the reverse layup from Polak. But in that last game that these two teams played against each other, the three-point shot from the Vulcans was on. In the first matchup, it wasn't. We saw a lot of what is happening so far in this game with Keith Palick in that mid-range, just working pretty much within the circle from the free throw line, like near to the three-point line up at the top. So he's just floating around in that area. Has been able to knock down some mid-range shots, but if the Vulcans are able to get that three-point shot going here in this game, it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's odd because it's almost been back and forth all season long. It's like they'll have one really good game, and what seems to be one bad one is Marina Hall's going to take one from deep.
Yeah, that three-point shot from Hall, too strong. And Dylan just running around all over the court here for the Griffins. Moon with the handoff, pass off to Tabe in the corner. Tabe sided against the shot, brings it back out to the three-point line, as Mies works it inside. Ball's going to get poked out of play from the Vulcans. You can see the coaches and the fans not happy about that call.
Yeah, and that's always such a tough call to make, and you always got to give some benefit of the doubt to the referees because they'll never have the crowd's favor. They'll never have a team's favor, to be honest, either. So you always got to give respect to those guys making hard calls. It's such a tough game and close one like this.
6 on the shot clock, so Tabe needs to go quickly. Turnaround jumper for him, gets it to go in the face of Palick. And the Griffins secure the lead once more, 33-31, but the Vulcans going quickly the other way. Mid-range jumper from the Don and gets it to go.
Yeah, Donald Whitehead Jr. has done this all season long. As they say, he has that fast twitch badge that you have in 2K. He's such a quick and quirky player. He'll always move himself around and get that easy bucket in the mid-range.
Mies on the drive. Pulls up, passes it off to Green. Green, after a quick flurry of points, has gone a little bit quiet as Mies with the step-back three. That one way off the mark. Tabe tried to save it, did as best he could. Throws right into the hands of Jermaine Hall Jr. Whitehead, pass it off to Palick, pump fake. Wide open three from Keith, who's able to knock it down. Timeout called from the Griffins as the Vulcans, like you said, this has been a game of runs. The Vulcans on a run of their own, 37-33, 2:16 left in the first.
Yeah, Coach Wilkins needed to call that one as you mentioned, that run was starting to get a bit out of hand for the Griffins, and this three-point shooting has been on and off so far for the Vulcans, but the main story is that guy we had that graphic on earlier, Keith Palick III, 15 points on the night.
And what a time to have a game like this. 15 points in the first half has got to be up there for the most that Keith has had in a half so far this season. And that's exactly what you need to do if you want to win a game like this, a playoff game here at home, and a chance to play against IUP one more time in the PSAC tournament, and a chance to finally get that win. The Vulcans played them, I believe, 5 times last year, 4 or 5 times last year.
You know what they say, third time's the charm. They got close that away game. They got close. 3-point matchup here at home. Who knows what that third matchup next tournament round could be.
I know those games last year, there was 4 games where they played against IUP, and they had leads deep into those games, all 4 of them, but could not secure the win. And like you said, in this game the game on Saturday is a turnover from Mies, and things have just gone from bad to worse here for the Griffins, as just seemed to be calamity after calamity. But like you said, only a 3-point loss to the Crimson Hawks here at home on Saturday. There's definitely a chance, and definitely a world we can see the Vulcans get a win if they're able to win here today.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those two teams have had major battles over the past few months here in this entire season, and it's been epic to say the least.
Polak able to get inside to Palick. Dumps it off to Whitehead. Whitehead working inside. Able to get the contact, but no shot attempt. It's going to get called as Hall went for the rebound attempt. Going to get called for the over back. He's going to pick up his 2nd foul of the first half. And that's going to be the 7th foul of the half here for the Griffins. So they're now in the bonus, waiting to see who free throw attempt will go to. It's going to be Green shooting 1-and-1 here for the Griffins.
Yeah, we had that real hot start in the first 6 or 7 minutes, but he's gone relatively cold, all things considered. And again, the fouls are going to play another key matchup here for the Vulcans in another game.
And the first half of the 1-1 was no good, so there will be no second shot. The Vulcans with a 4-point lead, 1:30 to go in the first half, looking to extend their lead going into the halftime break. Palick gets it to Whitehead. McClurg, he gets it to Whitehead once again. 13 left on the shot clock here for Cal. McClurg, pump fake, pass off to Whitehead once again, playing back and forth. Palick, deep three. Off the mark, no good. Rebounded by Tabe. Tabe, beautiful spin to evade Whitehead. Tabe going coast to coast, but can't finish the layup. There's a foul called, not even by the referee, under the basket. And that'll send Samuel Tabe to the line to shoot two.
Yeah, that's absolutely abhorred. If you're the Vulcans, that's got to hurt and sting all at once, especially from Tabe making a beautiful coast-to-coast move there. Absolutely beautiful from him. He's had such a great year, and what a time to show off.
And the Euro step into the lane and just off the mark on the layup attempt. Able to knock down the first free throw. And that foul will be credited to Palick. So Hall and Palick both sitting on 2 fouls here in this first half. Tabe makes both. 2-point game now with 1:04 to go.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, Caden Hanna was the guy who would come in and take minutes away from Palick and Hall if they're in foul trouble. And the real question is, what do you do when they're both in foul trouble? You can't risk leaving them both out here this early on.
Palick pass to Polak in the corner, drive from him. Floater attempt short. Tabe secures the rebound, have a chance to tie the game here. Tabe going coast to coast with the Euro step. Can't get the layup to go. A foul called on the back end as he tried to strip that away from McClurg. That'll be the 7th foul. So KJ is going to go down and shoot 1-1 as the Vulcans are now in the bonus, but you see some chatter between Tabe and the fans as he's not happy about that call.
Yeah, and KJ set his new career high when we were at UPJ, 24 points, made some key free throws at the end there. The transfer in from the University of New Hampshire, KJ's absolutely showed out in his first year here, closer to home, the Morgantown, West Virginia native.
Shout out University High School, as we mention every broadcast, because it's just been such a fantastic season, and exciting to see if you're a Vulcan fan. Is such a young core of players. And KJ, not quite in his mask era as he's able to knock down the first shot.
That's close enough, a bandage, a mask.
I mean, you usually see like LeBron James. I remember when he was on the Heat with that like black mask and he just went off in like every game.
KJ shows out like that. I mean, come on.
He's showing off here as he knocks down both free throws. Sends the lead back to 4 here for Cal. 41.6 seconds to go. Dylan holding on to the ball, not wasting any time. Pull up 3 for him. Off the mark, a fight for the rebound, going to end up in the hands of Caden Hanna. The Vulcans will take a timeout. 33.7 seconds left on the clock.
And I mean, I don't blame them at all. It's going to be nice to just sit down, relax, have yourself a discussion for this one last play you'll have here in the first period. And it's been a chippy back and forth game so far. Not to say that wasn't expected, but you got to give credit to this Seton Hill team. They've done a great job of reading the Vulcans on their own offensive end and able to stop them at all courses of action.
It seemed like after a tough start there for Cal, it looks like they've weathered the storm a bit, where there was just an initial strong flurry from the Griffins on both ends of the court, but the Vulcans were able to stabilize themselves in this game and have been able to take control with that 4-point lead going into the break. There's about a 3.7 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock at the end of the first half here. So the Vulcans are going to hold on to this, try to get one final shot going into half. Be Whitehead responsible for bringing it across the timeline. That's going to initiate the pressure from the Griffins, as they're not going to let the Vulcans off that easily. Looks like they actually will be, as there's just an initial trap, and the Griffins are completely fine with letting this one wind down. 7 on the shot clock, 10 on the game clock, and the Vulcans, now's their chance to strike as a deep 3 from Polak gets blocked. Whitehead gets the rebound, goes for the shot at the buzzer. That shot won't go. Shot clock violation there for Cal. And the Griffins are going to get a chance to shoot on their own with 2.8 seconds to go.
Yeah, and that first shot from Cam Pollock, I thought there was definitely going to be enough contact there to call that shooting foul. And even from Whitehead, too, you might have thought there was enough. But I think the referees, just like us, I think they just want to go to that nice commercial break. So they get a nice breather.
Looks like there's going to be a timeout called. I'm not quite sure if the Griffins called it or if it's going to be a official referee timeout. You can see Coach Sankum not happy about it. And it looks like Caden Hanna and TJ Slaughter trying to sneak their way into the Seton Hill huddle there, trying to get the last play. The referee here on the near side called them both away.
I just love watching Coach Sankum every single time he's on that sideline because it ends the same way. He does these nice hand movements, like almost gestures, points, and then he just defeatedly just goes, ah, and then he just backs away.
Yeah, definitely. If you can't lip read, you can definitely tell what he's saying. There's no doubt about that. Dylan has the chance here at the buzzer. Pass it off to Meese at the buzzer. Did he get it off in time? It's not even going to matter. Is the shot attempt no good? And that'll be the end of the first half. The Vulcans with a 4-point lead, 39-35. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back for the start of the second half on CUTV, CUTV Sports 1, and the PSAC Network.
Are you looking for student housing that is convenient, fits your budget, and promotes independent living? Look no further than Penn West California's upper campus student community at Vulcan Village. At Vulcan Village, you have 3 spacious floor plans to choose from, all with guaranteed private bedrooms and many with private bathrooms. Our community provides you fantastic amenities such as a 24/7 fitness center, convenience store, sand volleyball, and saltwater swimming pool. All apartments are fully furnished and have full kitchens and laundry. Utilities, internet, parking, recreation, and events all included. We provide you an all-inclusive experience that can't be beat. Schedule a tour and learn more today at vulcanvillage.com. Live here, live well.
Hi everybody, welcome into a brand new show here on CUTV. I'm your host Tom Caton, and you are all tuning into the very first official episode of Caton's Corner. Bye everybody. Bye everybody. Bye everybody.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Convocation Center for the start of the second half between California and Seton Hill. The Vulcans emerged from the first half with a 4-point lead, 39-35. And like we talked about a lot during that first half, it was very back and forth for a large chunk of that first half of play. But the Vulcans, in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes or so of that first half, definitely seemed to have the game a lot more under control.
Yeah, I would have expected them to go to the three-point line for most of their point scoring tonight, but they've instead gone more to draw on the inside parts of the arc, and they've been trying to go in the paint more, drawing those fouls, and they've done a good part of it, and it's got what's gotten them this 39 to 50 or 35 lead. Sorry.
It's been a tough game here for either side. It's not in the road ahead is not much easier, as the winner here today, like we mentioned before, has the luxury of facing off against the number 3 team in the nation and the number 1 team in the West, the IUP Crimson Hawks, and some other games around that are being played today. East Stroudsburg, the 3 seed, facing off against Shepherd, or the 6 seed, excuse me. I can't look at numbers correctly. Then we have UPJ facing off against Slippery Rock in the West matchup, and then finally the 4 or 5 seed, or 4-5 game in the East, Millersville versus Lockhaven. The winners of those games face off against Westchester, Mercyhurst, and Shippensburg, respectively. So definitely a ton of talent and a ton of entertaining basketball this week, and not only on the men's side, but the women's side as well, as we'll get into that a little bit later, so we can take a look at some highlights.
Yeah, and honestly, if you go back to that bracket real quick, I just want to say that East Stroudsburg-Shepherd matchup is going to be interesting, because ESU coming into the season was far better than what they are right now. I mean, now coming in at number 3 in the East was not something that I would have expected of them. So you have to think that maybe coming into this late part of the playoffs, they'll make themselves a nice little run, fancy themselves hot, as Keith Powell had himself a nice game so far, 15 points to go along with those 2 fouls, though. But he's been playing a key factor in this game. As we mentioned, he was our player to watch at the start of this game for a reason. He's Tabe, who's had himself such a great game so far. He's been such an all-around player. He's been giving himself a ton of effort, too, as Jermaine Hall. Easy little pass there to Powell, who's had himself a nice mid-range game, too, as well. Green, who had a real hot start, cooled down a little bit near the end of the first, over to number 10 on the side of the Griffins, Whitaker. He's had himself a nice night, too. I mean, it's as you mentioned, Johnny, this has been such a close back-and-forth game that I can't really tell you who has the advantage here.
Yeah, right now the separation seems to be within the hands of Keith Pollack, and I just want to mention it'd be very funny if you made that graphic for him to be our player to watch of the game, and he had a very bad game. That would have been very unfortunate.
Oh my lord. And well, actually, no, the bad thing is that I have a Sierra Lloyd one for the women's game on Wednesday, so if I curse her, I don't think Coach Strong would be too happy about that, but like you said, you made the graphic for Keith. Here he is. He hit 15 points in that first half, so definitely doesn't seem so far, knock on wood, to be affected by Casticers in terms of a made graphic. And Sierra Lloyd, coming off of a career night against the Crimson Hawks on Saturday, will face off against the winner between Edinburgh and Seton Hill today on Wednesday. So definitely a ton riding on that, as the first possession of the second half for the Griffins going to result in a turnover. Sean Dillon going to get called for the travel. Yeah, speaking of mid-range, we were talking about Keith Powell going in the mid-range. Sierra Lloyd hit from the mid-range all against IUP, and that thriller that went to overtime. If you definitely should, go back to the CUTV channel, check that highlight or even the full game out on. That was such a great and exciting matchup. And Keith Powell's been hitting that mid-range all night, and you have to expect him to go back to it.
Vulcans going from right to left here in the second half. Slaughter on the drive, gets it out to McClurg. McClurg works his way inside, loses control of his dribble. Going to end up right in the hands of Dillon. Dillon, quick pass ahead to Tabe, who slams it home.
And you know, what did we say here? He sent it straight to Jam City. Tabe has had himself such a strong night so far. 12 points going on early in the second half. And, you know, we had Green at the start of the first half, who was such a hot hand. You have to think it's going to go to Tabe now.
It seems like the momentum is in their favor as Tabe with the Euro step. It can't get the layup to go. Green gets the offensive board, but gets it stripped out of his hands, and right back into the hands of Hall, who gets tripped up. And Dillon jumps over the top of Hall. The Vulcans still have possession of the ball. Pollack able to bounce pass over to Pollack, who gets trucked to the floor by Samuel Tabe.
That was a certainly interesting 30 seconds of basketball. I can't say I expected to see a vault, a near steal. That was something, but that was a good sportsmanship from Tabe. Clearly, I don't think he meant to truck Pollack like that, so good on him to bring him back up off the ground.
And Dylan with the strong hands pokes that one out of play. And even kicks it all the way to the backstop out of the hands of Slaughter. And it's been a the last minute of this half has definitely been something. As first substitution, as Whitehead comes back in, Slaughter, who had that turnover in the previous possession, has gotten poked away twice in this possession. Going to make his way to the bench for the freshman. He's going to come back in here for Cal. That slam from Tabe has definitely gotten the Griffins energized to start the second half. Can the Vulcans kind of slow them down as Palick pulls up for three, and Keith knocks it down once more.
I mean, that's a big problem there. You can't let Keith Palick open from the three-point line, shooting 37% from the season, and especially with such a hot hand he's had tonight, you need to make sure that you close in on him.
Dylan going baseline reverse layup attempt, can't get it to go. Tabe on the offensive glass. Second chance shot from him, no good. Whitehead tried to get the rebound, but it's going to get poked out of play from Dylan. The Vulcans able to escape once again.
And Tabe again with that effort. He's had it all night. He dived after 2 loose balls earlier on in the first half, and you see that massive Jam City he sent us to just a little bit ago.
He has 12 points. The senior guard from Beltsville, Maryland, from High Point High School, having an impact so far in this game. Another foul called as Dylan going to smack against the head of KJ McClurgan. As we saw a little bit earlier, we alluded to, KJ does have a cut on near one of his eyes, and looks like he's kind of a little bit shaken up after that hit from Dylan.
Yeah, you have to think that he is too, because that was especially on the left-hand side of his head too, where you can see that bandage and that injury is. And again, if you're Coach Sankum, this is something you have to think about, is what you're going to do with KJ if that injury starts to come up in question.
Substitution made for the Griffins as Rice comes back in. That was another foul against Dylan. Pull-up jumper from Whitehead. Highly contested, can't get it to go. Tabe pulls in the rebound. Nice spin move to get away from Whitehead. Euro step into the lane once again and try to draw the contact, but nothing called. The Vulcans going the other way quickly. Polak. No look pass inside to Hall. Now the pass to Whitehead, and his three-point shot gets it to go.
And you know what? Whenever he scores a point like that, I have to bring the poster back out. Donald Whitehead Jr. all year long since he came in during the winter break has been such an impressive force on the offensive end.
Jimmy Moon with a three-point shot of his own. That one off the mark with Tabe. Just a fiend on the offensive glass. Gets another one for the Griffins. Mice with another three-point shot. That one off the mark. Whitehead pulls in the rebound. The Vulcans have a chance to go the other way. Quick pass ahead to Hall. His three-point shot short, but Whitehead gets the offensive rebound. Palick now for three, and Keith gets it to go. Timeout from the Griffins as the Vulcans on a hell of a run, and that'll be 16:54 left here in the second half. 11-point lead here for Cal, 48-37.
Yeah, you needed to call that timeout for Coach Wilkins. The momentum has not shifted, it has entirely flipped over. I mean, that's crazy. Keith Palick, 21 points on the night, and as you see there, this was a play and a half here. Tabe sent us to Jam City there. Addie Mann, I hope she got a good view of that from our camera down on the court. Keith Palick hitting us for a nice three-pointer, and as we mentioned, he's been killer all night long from deep, from mid-range, even from in the paint, he's been hitting it. Donald Whitehead Jr., the Don, as we've so mentioned him, the leading member of his fan club. Shout out to the Whitehead family. They always try and catch us. Much appreciated. You see that was a three-pointer that Keith Palick just hit there, and this has slowly turned from a very close and chippy game to heavily in the favor of the Vulcans. And what we're looking at here, make sure you follow the Vulcans and CUTV on Instagram and Twitter at Cal Vulcans, for the Vulcan Athletic account is at CUTVPA. For us here over at CUTV, where you can catch all your California action. Twitter, you can find us at Cal Vulcans and at CUTV_PA. It's been quite a game, has it not been, Johnny?
I mean, it's definitely been it's been a lot more entertaining in the last couple of minutes. 21 points already for Keith Palick coming out of this timeout. 11-point lead for Cal, 48-37, 16:54 left to go here in the second half of play. And like you talked about a little bit earlier on, this game has been one of runs, and the Vulcans have been on a tremendous one, and maybe that timeout will kind of stifle their momentum, or at least the Griffins hope so, as we get back underway. Dylan crosses the timeline, takes the screen from Whitaker. Moon pulls up for three to answer back and able to knock that one down.
Yeah, that's such a almost broken jumper there, but he's still able to hit that. Such a clean shot, and that's going to put them back in range of 8.
Vulcans playing ring around at the top of the key. Whitehead with the ball, takes the screen, passes it off to McClurg. McClurg gets it to Palak inside. Palak getting double teamed. Dylan nearly able to strip that one away, but Hall gets it back, gets that one poked out, and actually he's going to lose control of it all on his own. It's going to be another turnover going against the Vulcans.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see from Jermaine. As we mentioned earlier, he had that Achilles injury last year, so he wasn't able to share the court with that team that made the run to the Atlantic Regional Finals, but he's had such a good year, leading the team in three-point percentage and many of the other statistical categories.
The Griffins now looking to dig themselves out of this whole 8-point game, 48-40, just over 16 minutes left to play. Green working his way inside, pass off to Dylan, who pulls up for three. Dylan's three-point shot is short, but Whitaker right there to get it. Can't get the layup attempt to go. And a nice defensive rebound from Hall secures the Vulcans' escape. Palak. Now Whitehead looking for some help, gets it over to Polak now. Vulcans slowing things down once again. Whitehead gets it over to Polak once again. Deep three from Cam. That one off the mark. McClure gets the offensive rebound, but not before fouling on the back end. Another foul going to go against KJ McClure and the Vulcans. And that'll send us to another media timeout.
And KJ not too happy with this one. And again, the foul trouble plagues the Vulcans again, even though they do have that one foul advantage over Seton Hill right now. It's all year long, one of the conversations that we've had has been that this team fouls a lot more than you'd want to see them, and it usually affects them when it gets deep into these games.
This media timeout, 15:36 left to go here in the second half of play. And like we talked about, the road ahead and the journey ahead for either one of these teams, if they are to win, is not easy whatsoever. As the winner of this game will face off against the Crimson Hawks at the KCAC on Wednesday. And a game that, if the Vulcans are able to get back there once again, are looking for their revenge. Lost 4 games to IUP last year, 2 of them being in playoff play, 1 in the PSAC tournament and 1 in the NCAA tournament and that regional final. And the 2 losses here this season, the Vulcans are definitely looking for some revenge against the Crimson Hawks, which is, I think, has fueled them so far in this game, as they have an 8-point lead with about 15 and a half minutes to go.
And if I remember that statistic right, I think they have not won against IUP in the past 9 years, if I remember correctly, which is absolutely absurd, but that just shows you how great of a program they have up at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Shout out to IUP, because you know who's up there? Former member of the CUTV crew, Peyton Challenger. Shout out to him.
Shout out Peyton, and shout out the Vulcans social media accounts, Cal Vulcans and CUTVPA on Instagram, and then on Twitter, Cal Vulcans and CUTV_PA. Make sure to follow those accounts and keep up with everything Vulcan athletic related. Make sure to follow and subscribe to us on YouTube as well here on CUTV and CUTV Sports 1 to keep track not only every sports event going on as the basketball season winds down and baseball and softball start to kick off, as well as other shows on the network as well, as we're back underway once more here in the Convocation Center. Dylan going baseline, and then 2 blocks in one attempt, one by Whitehead and one by McClurg, sends that one out of play.
That is very unlike this Vulcans team. They're dead last in the PSAC in blocks this year, and you saw one earlier from Jermaine Hall Jr., and now for both KJ and Donald. That's very unlike this Vulcans defense.
Gillespie working underneath, can't get the shot to go, and Whitaker able to poke that rebound away and get control of it, and Hall comes over and sends it out of bounds. Like you said, this team is not known for their blocking ability, but when their push comes to shove, they're going to do it. Hall gets himself another one.
You know, I want to say I'm shocked because the block happened, but I'm not shocked by who it's from. Jermaine Hall Jr. is an athletic freak, and he sent that out of there. He gave him the Minute Bowl. He gave him that Dikembe Mutombo, no.
And after the inbound play, Samuel Tabe able to knock down the 3-point shot. So the Vulcans had themselves some fun with a couple of back-to-back blocks, but the Griffins respond with a 3-point shot, cuts lead down to 5. Palak inside. Brings it back out to the 3-point line, guarded by Gillespie. Whitehead pull up 3. It's not even going to matter because another foul called, an offensive foul, going to go against Keith Palak. He's going to pick up his 3rd foul. That's going to be the 2nd of the half here for Cal.
Yeah, and if you're Keith, can't let yourself foul out or even get close to fouling out in such a tight matchup like this. This is the playoffs. You can't afford to risk any sort of ground given to the other team.
Yeah, if the Vulcans want to win this game, they're definitely going to need Keith Palak on the court to do so. So 2 more fouls and Palak is out as Whitaker working his way inside, pass it off to Meese. Tabe looking to go to work against McClure, gets himself into the post, double team sent his way. And Gillespie able to get the advantage inside and able to finish the layup attempt. 3-point game now with 14:30 to go.
It's the runs game coming back again as the Seton Hill bench starting to come alive again. And as you know, as I just mentioned, this run for the Vulcans has started to hurt them defensively. They've started lacking on their switches and they got a bit of tripped up on that last play.
Palak inside, hands it off to Whitehead. Pull-up jumper from the mid-range. That shot will not go. Tabe gets himself another rebound in this game. Dylan screaming for it on the other side of the court. Meese gets it up to Tabe once again. Dylan, awkward pass from Tabe, able to collect it. Dylan now driving towards the paint. Can't get the shot to go. Good defense by McClurg. And now Whitehead going the other way. Has attempt to go and able to do so, plus the contact.
Yeah, Donald Whitehead Jr. Don showing himself out again. Great from the mid-range, great from the paint, great from anywhere on the court, really.
Whitaker taking his chances against Palak. And a foul called on the offensive end this time. An offensive foul going to go against, or actually they're going to call a foul against Cam Polak. It looked like they were calling an offensive foul. The referee underneath was signaling this way, but this one will go against Cam Polak. Caleb Whitaker going to go to the line to shoot too.
Yeah, and you're not alone with that one. I also thought that was going to go against Seton Hill, but again, you have to keep an eye on these fouls. Foul matchup for this team, or for these two teams, are going to play big in these final few minutes.
Whitaker on the season shooting 45.2% from the line. Looking to make the second, cut the lead down to 4. And he does exactly that. And that'll be his final action. He's going to check out of the game. Drew Green going to reappear once again in this matchup. 13:33 to go in the second half of play. The Vulcans up by 4, 50-46. Vulcans in a bit of a drought here on the offensive end. Whitehead gets it over to Polak. Polak driving with the right hand. Gets it over to McClurg. Step back three-point shot off the mark. The rebound went up in the air and Tabe comes down with it. Tabe, nice bounce pass to Gillespie. And he's able to finish plus the foul.
Yeah, and well, you know how I mentioned that momentum flipped for the Vulcans? Seems like that momentum has now completely 180 and now has flipped for the Griffins. That's going to be an easy and one conversion play for them, and that's going to send them to the line.
3-point play attempt from the freshman forward out of Crown Point, Indiana. It's having a big impact on this game. Has a chance to cut it to 1 point. And he does exactly that. 50-49, 13-10 to go. The Vulcans need an answer. They need to fight back. McClurg. Polak in the far corner. Gets it up top to Whitehead. Now Palak inside. Looking to post up against Gillespie. Pass it off to Polak. Polak crossover. Pass it off to Hall in the corner for 3. And Tremaine knocks it down. Exactly what the doctor ordered was that 3-point attempt. Green driving inside, and Green slams it down.
And you see that duality there, the momentum shift. You think it's going to the Vulcans, and then Green sends it straight to Jam City again. It's what we thought was turning into a Vulcan one-sided matchup is now gone back into this shootout again.
What a better way to put it, as mid-range moving shot from Palak, nothing called. And he wanted a foul, and the referee didn't call it. Green trying to get that pass. Good defense from Hall to steal that one away. His pass nearly gets stolen away by Meese. Polak now in the corner for 3. Can't get it to go. And a foul called on the back end. This one going to go against Whitehead. And you see the Vulcan fans upset because Whitehead got shoved to the floor. The Griffins faithful showing out mightily in this game. Definitely bringing some life here from the Griffin side in the Convocation Center. As a trio of substitutions made by the Griffins. It's going to be the 5th foul of the half from Cal, which is not something you want to see with 12 minutes left to go here in the second half. Dillon gets the switch onto Powell, driving against Keith, and Keith stuffs him at the rim. The Vulcans now going the other way. Polak in transition from 3. Knocks it down. And just like that, the Vulcans strike back. Whitaker trying to go into the post against Powell. Pass it off to Green. I mean, what a game this has been as Green driving inside, working against McClure. Shot won't go. Powell gets the rebound.
I mean, you talk about going back and forth. This is the almost exact definition of going back and forth. These two teams really can't decide who wants to win or not.
3-on-1 the other way, and Green going to get it. No fancy play at the rim, just the 2 points. As another turnover from the Vulcans. Cuts lead down to 3, 56-53, 11:05 left to play. The Vulcans have the lead. Whitehead gets it over to McClurg. Back up top to Whitehead. Whitehead on the drive inside, dumps it down to Hall. And Hall's shot won't go, but will get fouled. Now send Jermaine to the line once again after this immediate timeout.
And, you know, Jermaine definitely needed to get himself out the line. He's been cooling down a bit more since that first half. Hasn't been as hot as he once started out as. You know, he had that amazing block a little earlier on. And, again, it's something that I mentioned. This Vulcan team is dead last in blocks in the PSAC. And they just absolutely exploded for almost 5 in this game.
I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back for the rest of your coverage of the second half on CUTV, CUTV Sports 1, and the PSAC Network. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Convocation Center. 10:53 left to go here in the first round of the PSAC playoff tournament. This is the 4 versus 5 matchup. The Vulcans with a 3-point lead. We can take a look at some highlights from the last couple of minutes. Like I said, a double block that time. Whitehead gets a piece of it, and McClure gets a piece of it as well. And once again, Jermaine comes over and sends that one to the Griffin bench. And one more replay here is this 3-point shot from Tabe. It's nothing but net. And we have another transition basket, this time from Whitehead, who drives inside, tries to draw that contact from Meese. Nothing called, but still able to finish on the back end. And we had this 3-point shot from Hall. That kind of got the Vulcans a little bit of a lifeline back into this game. It seemed pretty grim in the last couple of minutes. It has been all Griffins. And Hall now at the line to shoot 2 here for Cal. Jermaine, cool as ever, able to knock down the first shot.
And you know, Johnny, I'm running out of words. This has turned into such a intriguing matchup, to say the least. I was not expecting such a heavily defensive game between these two, but almost 5 blocks coming from the Vulcans' side as Hall gets that one to go, and I did not expect that coming into this game.
I don't think anyone did. I don't even think the Vulcans necessarily thought of themselves. 7 points now in the game for Jermaine. 58-53 your score. The Vulcans with the lead with 10:40 to go in the second half of play. Green gets it off to Rice. Pump fake now. Rice driving inside. Gets it off to Green now. Green on the drive. Able to find Dillon in the near corner. 8 on the shot clock for the Griffins. Moon hands it off to Dillon. 3 on the shot clock as Rice pulls up for 3. That one way off the mark. And the fans letting him hear that he definitely did not hit the rim. Air ball.
Yeah, they were very loud about that one. They did not want him to like that.
And why would they? As Palak now driving inside. Nice bounce pass underneath to find Whitehead. Vulcan swinging all around the top of the key to the open Polak. Can't get the 3-point shot to go. Moon pulls in the board.
And, you know, you want to see that passing. You want to see that playmaking. But, again, sometimes 2 passes are too many.
Green able to get it to Moon. Moon plays the handoff back to Green. Green gets that crossed up, loses control of the ball, but able to get it back. Gonna fight for it on the ground. Wait to see if it's gonna be a timeout or a jump ball called. Jermaine stays down for a little bit longer. It looks like this ball will go in the Vulcans' favor. After the jump ball called, I believe. I mean, there was no official call. There was no official jump ball, but the Vulcans have possession of it. And one of the assistant coaches for the Griffins threw a towel all the way across the court. Get that man a job at the quarterback position for the Griffins. As he launched that one pretty far.
No, bring him over here to the Vulcans. We just lost our QB1 Noah Mitchell, so we need a QB1.
Definitely going to be exciting to see. Beginning of the next school year, the fall semester. See what the football season has in store for us. As this basketball season is winding to an unfortunate end.
I mean, it's been fun, Johnny. It's been great calling these games with you. Great going on those amazingly fun road trips out to Erie.
Yeah.
Love doing those.
Yeah, you like waking up at like 6 a.m. all the time as Hall underneath, able to skip pass into the corner to Whitehead for 3. Off the mark, no good. Whitaker pulls in the rebound. 4-on-3 the other way. Whitaker gets inside and able to finish at the rim. Cuts the lead down to 3.
And that was just another beautiful inside move there by Whitaker. You know, Seton Hill's gone more to that inside game, moving the ball more throughout the paint and going away from the arc, which is what they were more majoritively favoring in the first half.
And another corner 3 from Cam Polak. 16 points now from the sophomore out of Steel Valley. And the Vulcans get a stop on the other end. Dillon working against Whitehead, passes off to Whitaker. Whitaker trying to back down McClurg. He tries to pass it off to Joyner, and that pass is going to go out of play. The Vulcans able to force another turnover.
Yeah, Cam Polak, he's been another small story to come from this young team. The transfer out of Westchester, he had himself a showing when he came out here last year to play against the Vulcans, scoring 16 points in that matchup as a freshman. But coming here to Cal, he's gotten himself into more of a secondary shooting role, and he's proven himself to be such a good one in that, shooting 44% on the year, 37 from 3.
And one of the best three-point shooters that the PSAC has to offer. And another one of them right there is Jermaine Hall. Can't get that shot to go. Has not been his afternoon so far. The reigning PSAC West Athlete of the Week is Dillon underneath. Fancy moves from him, but the shot left too short. Tabe gets the offensive board. The second chance shot, however, is good from Samuel Tabe. 17 points, from him in this game.
Yeah, beating the normally intelligently defensive player in Keith Palak. It's his brawn that's been able to outsmart Keith so far this game.
Palak trying to find McClurg underneath, but great awareness from Tabe to get back, poke that one out of play, and that'll send us to another media timeout with 7:55 to go here in the second half of play.
You know, something intriguing that I think we should bring up is we haven't seen much of DJ Slaughter so far this game.
Yeah, it's definitely been, it hasn't been a game for DJ Slaughter. Obviously, at the beginning of that second half, had a couple of turnovers in back-to-back possessions. And while we have a second, we can take a look at the women's playoff bracket, which we'll see on Wednesday. The winner of Edinburgh versus Seton Hill will come here in California to face off against the Vulcans. 4-5 matchup, IUP versus UPJ at the top of that bracket. That winner will face off against the #1 seeded Gannon. Right now, we're looking at our phone, and we're in the fourth quarter between Edinburgh and Seton Hill. And the Fighting Scots with a 15-point lead, 66-51. And if the result stands, the Fighting Scots will travel here once again as they split the season series with Cal. They lost here in the Convocation Center. They'll face off on Wednesday if the result stands.
Yeah, and those Lady Vulcans, they're going to have such a tough matchup. This Edinburgh team is one of a lot of strength and scoring. Not much in size, but the skill they have is so impressive, and it was able to beat them when they traveled up. But, you know, this Lady Vulcan team has done such a good job at home and taking advantage of the Convocation Center's little quirks and quinks.
I remember whenever the Vulcans traveled up to Edinburgh and they lost in that game against the Fighting Scots up there, Reina El Husseini had herself a game of games in that game against California. Put her team on the back and able to pull out a big win in that one. And back underway here after that timeout. Palak on the inbound here for California. Able to get it into Whitehead. Whitehead to pass off to Polak. He pulls up for three, and Cam knocks down another one. Gives the lead back to 7 for Cal.
I mean, you cannot be shocked at all. Cam Polak, 13 points per game. As I mentioned, shooting 37%. He's one of the premier three-point shooters in the PSAC. You can't let him open. You can't give him any sort of separation.
Another block is Polak blocks that one away from Meese. Whitehead with the Euro step into the lane. Can't get the shot to go. And there's a foul called underneath the basket. Waiting to see who it's going to be on. This one going to go against the Griffins, I believe. That'll go against Dylan. On the court right now, Polak and Polak amount for 40 of the 64 points that Cal have had in this game.
I mean, yeah, it's been that Polak-Polak connection. I got it right for once. All year long, these two have been playing off each other and creating such a good advantage as Keith Polak. Oh, my Lord. He did not just do that. He gave him the Ben Simmons treatment. Oh, my.
Throws it off the back of the inbounders like he talked about all game. We've talked about all season. The intelligence of Keith Polak put on full display, and that'll force a timeout of the Griffins.
I just chuckled because I can't believe it. Keith himself is chuckling because I don't think you were ever going to expect Keith Polak to just bounce it off the defender's back. But, hey, as you mentioned, that's intelligent play at its finest. Seton Hill has their backs completely turned on. What else are you going to do? Bounce it straight off his back, easy bucket for you. And, I mean, the Vulcan bench has to love that.
500 IQ, just like giga mega brain from Keith Polak.
We need to throw that in like the 500 IQ basketball play videos that you see on YouTube. That was beautiful from Polak.
And like you said, I don't think he believed that he was able to get that play off. And like we talked about all game, just the runs that either team have had back and forth, and the Vulcans have definitely found themselves on one now. 9-point lead, 66-57 with 7:10 left to go in the second half. Dylan able to get it off to Moon. Hands it back off to Dylan. Dylan working inside. Gets a switch on to Polak. Trying to spin away. Gets it off to Green with the deep three. Tries to bank it in. Can't get it to go.
And Green was almost going to try and sell that foul there. He dived a little bit near the end when KJ was going for some contact. It might have been a bit of contact. I'm not 100% sure as I'm watching from our monitor here that we call Little Steve.
Whitehead able to find Polak in the corner. Another three from Cam, and that one off the mark, but Jermaine able to get the offensive rebound. Second chance shot. Left that one short. Moon secures the rebound for the Griffins. Whitaker now brings it up the court, slows things down. 6:25 left to go in the second half. Whitaker calls everyone away, wants to work one-on-one against Keith in the post. Whitaker dumps it down low to Green. Green trying to spin off against Polak. Polak comes over and gets another block.
Johnny, it's safe to say that this has been a stunning game and a half because these Vulcans have not played to what they normally play like. This has been almost a completely different team than what we've seen all year.
It definitely won't be last in blocks anymore after today's game. It's McClurg, receives the pass, gets it off to Polak, pump fake, able to drive, gets it off to Whitehead. Gonna get called for the turnovers. He stepped out of bounds. And then Samuel Tabe gonna come back into the game once more for the Griffins.
And as I mentioned earlier, one of the matchups that I was looking at was the ESU Shepherd one. That game is now live. Shepherd leading 17-11 with almost halfway through that first half. Very unexpected if you ask me, even though Shepherd has been a quiet team all year. They have the potential to upset.
3-point shot from Dylan, and he's able to get himself off the mark. Cuts lead down to 6. 66-60 is your score. 5:33 left to go in the second half. The Vulcans looking to hold on and try to get their way back up to Indiana one more time this season. Whitehead gets it over to Polak, who's fine Polak in the corner for a three once again, and Cam knocks it down again. 22 for Cam, 69 for Cows. They're up by 9 once again, 69-60.
You cannot be shocked at all. As I mentioned, they've been feeding the hot hand in Polak. He's one of the premier three-point shooters. Again, as I mentioned, you can't let him open or give him any sort of space.
And Dylan tries to pull up for a three. That one off the mark. Another air ball from Sean Dillon. And Samuel Tabia going to get called for the foul as he was bear hugging Keith underneath the basket. That's going to be his third, the team's fifth of the half.
And tried arguing with the ref a little bit there, just for a little bit of leeway, but even he's smiling on his way back. He know he had that foul, but this has been such an intense matchup between these two teams, and both the Seton Hill and Vulcan faithful have shown out here tonight in numbers.
5 official blocks in this game, 2 to Hall, 2 to Palick, and 1 to McClurg. So the Vulcans showing off on the defensive side. McClurg spins over, pass off to Palick, deep 3 from Keith, and nothing but net from the Iceman himself. 12-point game now with 4:30 to go. The Vulcans starting to crack the game wide open.
I mean, yeah, we mentioned that hairline standstill. It's not just his hairline, it's that ice in his veins. He has that clutch factor to him. If you let him anywhere near any sort of space, he's going to take a shot openly, and he's going to make it. He's such a good three-point shooter and mid-range shooter if you let him open.
Rice, pass off to Moon. Moon able to save it. And a travel called as Moon lost his dribble. It took one too many steps, and the Griffins one step closer to walking back to Greensburg after today's game. If they're unable to get a win here, the Vulcans, like I said, starting to get this game under control.
And you can tell the life has definitely come back here within the Vulcan faithful and that bench too. The energy is palpable here and ready to pop here in the combo.
Whitehead and the Vulcans very smartly just slowing things down, taking as much time off the clock as possible. We're now down under 4 minutes. 10 seconds left on the shot clock here for Cal. McClurg driving inside. Right-handed floater won't go. KJ going to get fouled once again. He'll find himself back with another trip to the free throw line after this media timeout.
And I mean, Coach Sankum stuck to his guys. He hasn't put in DJ, which is something that has been rather unexpected for me. I thought you'd see another appearance from DJ Slaughter, but no, it's mostly just been his starting 5 and the occasional Donald Whitehead Jr.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Or actually, absolutely not. We're going to take a look at some replays.
Okay. I mean, that was unexpected for me too, but Whitaker, he's had himself a game. He's been so impressive here in these past few minutes, and Donald Whitehead Jr. at the Polak. He's had such a night from the three-point line, and again, it's as I mentioned, you can't let him open. You can't give him space, because if you give him anything, he's just going to knock it down. And Tabe's had himself such a nice too. And Cam Polak, now that we just pulled that stat up, he shot 50%, 6 for 12 from 3. Not shocking at all. As you see, again, another one. He was killing it in the warm-ups with these deep three-pointers. And I mean, what a play this was by Keith Palick. The Iceman saw that play perfectly and took that easy bucket. You want a guy like that in these clutch moments, when especially in a playoff game like this. Cam Polak getting himself nearly beat down, but Palick able to come in there clutch, get that block on Garrett Green, and pass another one in the corner for Polak. He's just been feeding himself in that right corner.
I'm going to read off some stats here. Keith Palick in this game, 26 points to go along with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks to boot as well. And like I said, he's been having a fantastic game. And a quick shout out, happy birthday to a couple of family members of CUTV. My father, Sir Jonathan Sape, his birthday is tomorrow actually, turns 50 years old. Also a quick shout out to Missy Rothermel as her birthday. A couple of days ago, so happy birthday, everyone.
Well, yeah, shout out to Missy, but Claire couldn't give us how old she's turning because our friend here, Claire Rothermel, doesn't know her actual age, so
how do you not know the age of your parents?
Hey, ask her that. This isn't me. I'm throwing her under the bus very willingly, even though I threatened to do it last night.
KJ, quiet afternoon for him. Still been very efficient from the free throw line. 7 points now. Able to knock down the first. And able to make the second as well. 8 points. 14-point game now. 3:44 to go. 74-60 your score. Tabe gets it over to Moon in the corner for 3. And Jimmy Moon able to get it back. 3-point game. Or 3-point made from him. 6 points for Jimmy Moon. 74-63 the score. 3:25 left to go. A foul called as Whitehead passed off to McClurg, but Dillon all up in the mix, pushes him off. Another foul called on the play. That'll be the 7th of the half, so that'll send the Vulcans into the bonus. That'll send Donald Whitehead Jr. to the line.
And something I'm curious to see here is how early these Griffins are going to start forcing these foul out for free throws. And I don't want to say they've done it this early on with 3:22 left, but it may appear so.
on the season. 84.8% from the line is the Don. He's having a phenomenal rookie campaign from himself. The freshman out of Hermitage, Pennsylvania. Went to Hickory High School, knocks down the first free throw of the 1-and-1. Also to mention as well, having himself a quiet 10 points in this game. We mentioned his name a few times. Make it 11 now as he makes the second free throw. And like I said, doesn't seem like it's been a lot of Polak and Palik, but 11 points on the game for the Don as well. It's a foul called inside as Tabe got knocked off his course. I believe this one's going to go against Jermaine Hall Jr. That's going to be his 4th foul of the game.
The strategy you have to think about, Coach Sankum. Are you going to pull Jermaine out with 3 minutes left just to be safe, or are you going to put Caden Hanna in there? Who knows?
Looks like for now the Vulcans and Coach Sankum are comfortable with keeping Jermaine in there. To clean up the floor. 3:17 to go in the second half. The Vulcans up by 13, 76-63. Like you mentioned, the result stands. The Vulcans will make their way up to Indiana on Wednesday to face off against the Crimson Hawks. Still have plenty of work to do here with the last 3 minutes as Tabe inside. It's going to be a foul called. They're actually going to count the basket. It's going to be a blocking foul against KJ McClurg, so they're going to call a flop, I believe, against KJ.
Yeah, and I don't want to give too much opinion here, but it did look like he might have put himself a bit more on the ground than he should have. And Keith Palik arguing in the background, he certainly wasn't too happy about that call.
Dylan not able to make the free throw. So the basket was actually, the basket was counted. So it's 11-point game, 76-65. But Dylan unable to make the free throw. Still an 11-point game with 3:10 to go. Palik able to get back up top to Whitehead. And Whitehead once again just slowing things down, wasting all this time, all this precious time that the Griffins need off the clock. 15 left on the shot clock, 2:53 left on the game clock. Whitehead takes the screen. It's going to be a whistle blown and a foul called on the floor. This one's going to go against Meese. And that's going to be his first, the team's 8th. It's going to send Donna Whitehead Jr. at the line to shoot 1-1.
And if you go to this Seton Hill Griffins team, I think the guy you want to look at here who's had such a great performance tonight has been Samuel Tabe. He's had such a great night working in on the paint, sent him to Jam City even earlier, and even on the defensive end, he's had such a great motor and getting his switches off, not able to let anybody pass him. He's been such a key part to this Seton Hill team.
Whitehead makes the first and knocks down the second as well. Substitution made as Caden Hanna going to come into the game. Jermaine Hall Jr. going to go to the bench. Like you mentioned, Coach Sankum trying to preserve Jermaine for the last 2:45, and I mean, this game has just had it all, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, there was that one almost 30-second stretch where there was almost 3 turnovers and a guy leaped over somebody.
Tabe with a strong drive and left unattended to and able to finish at the rim. And it looks like Coach Sankum and the Vulcans want to take a timeout, talk things over. That'll stop the clock with 2:30 to go here in the second half. The Vulcans still nursing that 11-point lead, 78-67. And one more time, we can take a look once again at the PSAC men's tournament bracket. Obviously today, California versus Seton Hill, East Stroudsburg versus Shepherd, UPJ versus Slippery Rock, Millersville versus Lockhaven. We do have a score update for you as well in that UPJ Slippery Rock game. The Mountain Cats of UPJ up by 3 going into halftime, 37-34 over the Rock of Slippery Rock. So a tight game there, and the winner of that one will face off against the Mercyhurst Lakers on Wednesday. And the winner here today will face off against the Crimson Hawks of IUP on Wednesday as well. This will be a big game for both teams as waiting a score update. Looking at this once again, Shepherd with the lead over East Stroudsburg, 26-18. Back underway here after that quick timeout from the California Vulcans. 2:23 left to go. And the Don running the clock ever so slowly. Now under 10 here on the shot clock. Whitehead gets inside, pull-up jumper from him and knocks it down.
I mean, he knocks that down and he nearly knocked Palick down there after the play. He falls to the ground, almost knocks him down. And Donald Whitehead Jr.'s vertical is so high. You notice whenever he takes that shot, he's almost at the rim level.
Good defense from Polak, pokes that pass away, intended for Green. Dillon on the inbound for the Griffins. Tabe looking to drive. Strong hands from KJ McClurg, but too strong as he's going to get called for the foul against Tabe. That'll be the team 7, so that'll send Samuel Tabe to the line to shoot 1 and 1.
And even no matter the score, you still don't want to send your guy to the line. You still don't want to send the other guy to the line. You still want to keep yourself out of the bonus. Call the ball back for something.
And the referee's confused on whether it's going to be 2 shots or 1 and 1, but it is 1 and 1. Tabe isn't able to make it. There's a fight for the rebound, and Green carries it into the cheerleaders down on the near side. Ball will go back into possession of California. Substitution made as Joyner going to come back into the game, and Meese going to go to the bench. Whitehead getting double teamed. He's able to break it here. Passes it back to Palick. Palick in pursuit, able to get the ball back. Trying to cross the half court. They do so. McClurg holding things up here for Cal. I hear Coach Wilkins for the Griffins saying, do not foul. The Vulcans very content with winding things down here and winding the game to a close.
And I mean, you got to think that you do have to foul if you still want a chance of winning, even though the score maybe look a little out of hand for now.
Jermaine with a circus shot after a nice feed from Palick. Shot won't go, but will get fouled. Now send Jermaine Hall Jr. to the line. Waiting to see if he can shoot 2 or 1 and 1. It will be 2, so Jermaine has a chance to shoot 2 shots here at the free throw line once again.
After seeing some of the dunks he was throwing down in the layup line, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have made that circus shot he threw up.
He's able to get the roll to go on the first free throw attempt. Substitution made. Joyner out, Meese back in. And the options looking very slim here for the Griffins. Looking very grim. 14-point game. Call it 15 now after the made free throw from Jermaine Hall Jr. Is there any way back in this game if you're the Griffins, Nate?
I mean, I think you have to go back to the hot hand of Tabe and see if he could ride on the three-point that you were having early on in the second half.
If you had to get a percentage chance, what is it at this point as Tabe works inside? Can't get the shot to go. And Green fighting for the offensive rebound. It's going to be a whistle blown on the floor. I believe another foul called. This one going to go against Caden Hanna.
So you want me to give a percentage of Seton Hill the chance to come back?
Yes. If you were betting, like what are the odds? What is the percentage chance? If in Doctor Strange's universes, how many worlds has this outcome happening?
I'm giving it like a 15% that you see a comeback. This 116 now. Both teams are in the bonus. I don't really see a way for Seton Hill to put themselves back up unless they go on an absolutely ham scoring run from the three-point line.
It's not going to help them as they miss the free throw in the 1-and-1, and Hall able to secure it. Palick, cross-court pass, able to find McClurg and get it across the half court in time. And it looks like the Vulcans trying to waste off as much time as possible, and the Griffins applying a little bit of pressure, but I think Coach Wilkins understands the situation as Whitehead dribbles off his foot. Polak able to recover. Pull up three from him, no good. Green secures the rebound there for the Griffins. They're going the other way now. Green in transition, able to get it to Joyner. Joyner on the drive inside, dumps it down low to Gillespie. Gillespie goes up and under, able to finish the layup. And the Griffins are going to call a timeout with 37.6 remaining.
Yeah, now that you're down to this low, I think now we can comfortably talk about this future matchup that'll happen against IUP. Cal versus IUP, the third time this season as we're getting a score update. Edinburgh women wins against Seton Hill Griffins, and looks like they'll be coming up here to California for a matchup on Wednesday. And looking ahead to that IUP Cal matchup, that's going to be a real tough one because Ethan Porterfield had himself such a night along with Dave Morris. Shondale Jones. And you have to think that for the Vulcans, are you going to be able to stop that trio again for a third time this year?
Yeah, the Crimson Hawks are the #3 team in the nation for a reason, because they always look very good, but the Vulcans definitely made them seem mortal in that game on the weekend. They definitely don't look like the unbeatable Goliath that they had looked like earlier on in the season. And like we talked about, the Vulcans still looking for their first win against the Griffin, or not the Griffins, excuse me, the Crimson Hawks in quite a while. And so to do it up there at the KCAC would be a sight to see. But that's for Wednesday to decide. And with 37.6 seconds left, the Vulcans have all but won the game here against the Griffins, which will mark the 8th straight win against Seton Hill and mark an end to their incredible season that they've been having.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this earlier on in the first half. Coach Wilkins took this team that won around 5 or 6 games of the past 2 years into almost a winning program, sitting at the 5th seed here in the PSAC tournament. Huge shout out to him and the Seton Hill team.
The Griffins trying to trap Whitehead, and Polak with an errant pass gets cut out by Green, who pulls up for 3. That one way short, and Polak able to secure the rebound, and maybe a bit of frustration as Green gonna get called for the foul as he sends Polak to the floor. Cam gonna make his way slowly down to the end of the court and bask in the victory here as he's gonna go shoot 2.
I mean, what a night and what a season it has been for Cam Polak in that regular season, averaging 30 minutes, 13 points per game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and go along with that, he was one of the premier 3-point shooters and free throw shooters, shooting 83% from the line, and having himself a night tonight, joining along Keith Palk, in the 20-point club.
And with that made free throw, ties his career high. Cam Polak, 23 points. He achieved that earlier on in the season at Shippensburg on December the 2nd. 23 points here tonight. He was able to knock down the free throw. A new career high for Cam, and what a better place to do it than in the playoffs, of all places. And he does exactly that, so made free throw, a win here for Cal, and a new career high for Cam Polak, 24 points on the afternoon for him.
And I can't say that I'm shocked whatsoever. He's had him such a small and quiet night, but he's done so well.
Tabe and Moon pulls up for a 3. One last attempt as that shot no good. And Coach Wilkins calls off the Hounds, and the Griffins are going to wave the white flag. And the Vulcans are going to come up with a win and move on in the PSAC tournament. What a season it's been, and the Vulcans still have a chance to move on after today's game. Any final thoughts, Nate?
I mean, I can't wait to see that matchup against IUP, and most honestly, I can't wait to see the matchup on Wednesday versus Edinburgh, where you can catch that on CTV here with Jonathan Sakaguchi and Addie Mann on the call. It's been a great regular season with you, Johnny. It was a great game today.
It's been a great season. It's been a great game here today as the Vulcans emerge with the win here in the Convocation Center, 84-69 over the Griffins. And they'll move on in the PSAC tournament. From everyone here at CUTV, from our directors Tom Kate and Gary Smith, from my broadcast partner Nate Kurtz, my name is Jonathan Sape. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you guys next time here on CUTV, CUTV Sports 1, and the PSAC Network.